Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Matthew back with the 11th episode of the My Favorite LJN tournament. As long as I keep these in order as I've been planning, this should end up being the 103rd episode, if I'm not mistaken, overall. So, just kind of looking at the figures that I laid out right now, I had 7 matchups, but I'm going to break it down to 6 because in the next video, which I should do right after this one, I'll only have 5 matchups remaining in the first round. So, just kind of looking at the figures that I have displayed, I don't believe I missed any. Well, hopefully I didn't. As you know, figures like Mean Gene, Mr. Fuji, yeah, I skipped over those. And I am looking at my figures that I've laid out right now, and there was an additional Tito Santana, which technically should have squared off against the Tito Santana from Strike Force, but that's okay because at least now with the matchups I have remaining, it is going to be an even number, so that's good. So we are going to dive right in to the next set of matchups. Man, I'm just kind of looking at a few matchups here, and one in particular I'm not excited about. With the first time I did this competition, these two particular figures made it very far, and I'll discuss them shortly. But before we do, we are going to bring up the first Sergeant Slaughter figure from Wrestling Writer. So this is one of those figures like Abdullah the Butcher, like Ric Flair. When I saw Ric Flair, all I could think of is Tito Santana. When I saw Sergeant Slaughter, all I could think of is Nikolai Volkov. And of course, Abdullah the Butcher, all I could think of is King Kong Bundy. So it took me about a week or so to actually pull the trigger on these figures. Aesthetically, I knew I enjoyed them a lot, but because I kept having that mindset, it was really hard for me to think of them as any other figure other than those particular characters. But once I finally broke down, it actually really gave it its own unique, individuality. You really start to appreciate the figures as a whole. And this Sergeant Slaughter figure is truly remarkable. Everything from like the bald head at the top, the design of the boots, perfect complement to the Hasbro LJN style of Sergeant Slaughter figure. And of course, what I like is the custom purple belt, which he won from Ultimate Warrior in the 91 Royal Rumble. And I use the term lightly, won, because without Macho Man basically busting his scepter over Ultimate Warrior's head, Sergeant Slaughter would have never pinned him, would have never won that competition. So as you know, the Nikolai Volkov itself figure is one of my favorites. So having Sergeant Slaughter with the Nikolai Volkov type body, it definitely, in my opinion, makes it more of a, not necessarily an elite figure, but definitely a top tier figure. And I'll just do a quick 360 for you guys, because, color-wise, truly remarkable. And see, I don't recognize this rank. If I'm not mistaken, that should be like a Marine rank. So, Army. So I don't know. I really couldn't tell you what the rank for majority of other branches are. I don't know if that's Sergeant, Gunnery Sergeant. I don't know. Like I said, I would have always, based on the colors, I would assume that Sergeant Slaughter was based on an Army character. But again, based on rank, I'm guessing Marines. Just an absolute beautiful figure. Absolutely love it. Sergeant Slaughter. And he goes off against one of the first figures I ever purchased from John Ruggiero. The 1J Ruggs 79 on eBay. And, like I said before, you've got a lot of these type of Hulk Hogans where they mimic or they use a Jesse Ventura figure and they create Hulk Hogan. And I can understand, because when you actually look at the Jesse Ventura figure and you see what they come out with when they create the Hogan, it looks like it was a Hulk Hogan figure from the get-go. So I can understand why so many customizers use that particular figure. And, if you're going off of design-wise alone, this is a fantastic piece. His beard is a little bit more darker than you'd like. You'd like to see a shade lighter, maybe more of a brown. a little bit more realistic, whereas the black on his face for his beard is more reminiscent of the bandana. But you got the New World Order Championship belt. I think this blue belt actually went to the Great Muta, but with the arm pose, you can use duplicate multiple championship belts. So I'm okay having multiple belts on this figure. So overall, beautiful design. Love the Hulk Hogan. Obviously my all-time favorite wrestler. Yeah, just an overall good-looking figure. But you've got a unique figure that really stands out, and you've got one with a much better pose, which I covet more than anything. So, to me, no competition. The Sergeant Slaughter figure moves forward to round 2, and this Hulk Hogan is done for the competition. Now, this is the battle I was telling you about. One I am not excited about because both of these figures made it far in my tournament the last time around. Based on the way that I set up my tournament this time with the additional figures, these guys ended up squaring off where they didn't face each other last time. And I don't know if they ever faced each other in the last time I did this tournament, but we're going to start off with the Jimmy Garvin figure. So again, they like to use these, pipe cleaners as kind of like scarves or, whatnot. So there's a couple standouts for this particular figure. For starters, they use, I would assume that's a Hillbilly Jim head on a Brutus Beefcake body. But when you go and you look at the sparkly and glitter of the gloves and pants, this is, beautiful. You don't necessarily look at like a man in all pink and think, hey, that's a phenomenal color for a grown man. But, I mean, it just blends well with this figure, and it's one of my favorites. Oddly enough, when I did the Wrestling Writer, exclusives, and I was going off of my top 10 favorite, top 10 least favorite, I brought this figure up in that video for top 10 favorite and mentioned how good this figure was. How I brought up another figure, mentioned how good that one was. I think it was Texas Tornado, and neither one cracked my top 10, sadly enough. But you can't deny how remarkable the Jimmy Garvin figure is. And again, accessory wise, they use it for Hulk Hogan and a couple other figures that I have. It blends in beautifully. And then they got this little Texas championship belt for that particular region. And then it goes up against the Great Muta. This paint scheme on this figure is probably one of my top 5, maybe top 6 favorite figures. I mean, again, I've never actually broken it down by, by color-wise, so I don't know how I'd rate them. Figures like Random Treasures Animal, for example, the Great Muta from Wrestling Writer. I'm just kind of like looking around. Any of the Ultimate Warrior figures, really. Seeing any others that really have really good paint jobs. I like Doink, but because of the type of figure, it's a little bit different. And I will get to Doink in the next video. So, if I was going off of design-wise, I would probably go with Great Muta. He does have this, altered Ricky Steamboat fighting pose. So not quite Ricky Steamboat, but, Ricky Steamboat isn't one of my favorites. And this right here makes it a little bit worse as far as playability. And if I'm not mistaken, this should be a resin figure. So, as a resin figure, where this is rubber, that definitely plays a role, would play a role in my decision. Just two great figures, and it's really difficult. And I think this is one of maybe 2 or 3 battles in this first round where I really struggle to make a decision, because these aren't just second rounders. These are like 3rd and 4th round figures, easy. And the Hulk Hogan with the blue belt, I think that belonged with Great Muta. So Great Muta, Japan, multiple championships. I think he went to other regions. I don't know if it says on here. IWGP. Yeah, United States. Championship belt. And I like that his championship belt here actually says Great Muta right at the bottom. But I think he won like a championship in like 3 different countries. So Japan, obviously, had to be a U.S. champion, and I want to say China, but I'm not. I'm not sure. Maybe not China. Mm, this sucks because it's a tough decision. I really wasn't expecting to spend this much time on a single matchup in this round, but I want to make the right choice. Someone that legitimately has a chance to move forward further into the competition. I don't want to just put one up just to say, hey, this is going to square off against this guy and then he's out. What I want it to be a legitimate choice for one that has a legitimate chance of going further and further in the competition. Mm. I think I'm gonna have to go with the Great Muta. Just a second before I made the selection, I was going to select Jimmy Garvin, but I just really like the design of the figure overall, and of course the face paint really did it for me. So, Great Muta defeats Jimmy Garvin, and if I'm not mistaken, I think this figure made it to like round 5 or something, at least round 4, but I think he was a round 5 figure the first time I did this competition, and seeing a number of figures eliminated in the first round, even someone like Greg Valentine, LJN original, was like a round 5 figure the first time around, and he got eliminated the first time in this competition. Now, given his custom figure moved forward, and that still has a legitimate chance of going through multiple rounds, but that originality definitely plays a role in a lot of my decisions, and this was a tough one. Next one is going to feature one of the greatest wrestling writer figures of all time, and it is Mr. Perfect. So many things I love about this figure. First off, Mr. Perfect as LJN, incredible. Secondly, the face sculpt of the figure gives you a perfect replica. The face and hair, absolutely amazing. I absolutely love these dual colored singlets. Mr. Perfect, he had quite a few. Blue with yellow on the back. I think he had a blue with the black on black on back, and then he's got the orange with the black on back. So, I mean, you see a lot of these dual singlets, which I really enjoy, and of course, one of the greatest attributes for me is the fighting pose, and more importantly, the body slam pose of the figure. Absolutely remarkable. Now, this is a resin figure, and that is the only drawback for this figure. Obviously, you want all your figures to be original or as close to original as possible. That's why I covet the rubber figures, whereas resin, they're basically statues. For an adult, yeah, you're not playing with these. They're display purposes, but again, you still want to keep rubber with rubber. And is it fair to add resin figures in with the customs or the LJNs where they're all rubber? I think the resin gives it a leg up because they can be molded a little bit more perfectly like this figure. But I want all my customs to be included, regardless of how they're made. So, Mr. Perfect, and in this battle, he will go up against Sting. So, this Sting figure catches no breaks whatsoever. The first time I did this tournament, he went off against Cactus Jack, and even though I felt like maybe this was a better figure, Cactus Jack defeated him and moved forward in, I think he made it to like the 4th round or so, maybe further. I can't remember. I'm going to say at least 4th round. This is a beautiful figure. I mean, when you look at the Scorpion, very similar to that of, the Gloop figures. What does it for me is that he's got the Macho Man fighting pose, which I think that was a huge knock on him the first time I did this championship. Does his championship belt say Sting? It does not. But the big gold, WCW championship belt. But, the fighting pose, this is what I'm talking about. If you've got the Macho Man type pose, or if you've got the Jesse Ventura pose, if you're someone who has multiple championships and you want to put, multiple belts on that figure, these poses make sense. You know, when you look at the overall facial design of the figure, this is an incredible piece. The fact that he's rubber going against a resin figure, I mean, does it really matter in that sense? Do you push the Macho Man-esque Sting past not quite Hulk Hogan fighting pose, but it's very close? A tough decision, but I don't believe I'm going to harp on this for as long as the previous one. Yeah. Mr. Perfect, I think had to be a clear-cut choice to move forward. You know, Sting in the 2 times I made this tournament, he just went against a couple figures I just enjoyed a little bit better. Mr. Perfect will be moving on to round 2. And Sting, once again, is a first round elimination. So, I believe this is the last of the Wrestling Writer figures that I have. And, man, I believe I damaged this figure. That sucks. Because these figures sometimes fall off the shelf, and I got a little scrape on him. So, Irwin R. Shyster, Mike Rotundo, whatever you want to call him. IRS is an absolute beautiful figure, and what I love most about it, he's kind of got like this Greg Valentine type fighting pose. And I don't know if it was me squeezing these legs or whatnot, but I do see cracking in the back of the pants. But like I said, this is like this isn't like at the very top of my shelf. I mean, this is on the, just above the ground level of the shelf, so if he falls, I mean, you wouldn't expect damage like that, but it sucks. You want all your figures to be pristine, and to get that damage, it sucks. But back to the figure itself, absolute beauty. Again, when I see a lot of these LJN figures that are reflective of Hasbro figures, which I grew up with, it obviously holds a whole lot special meaning to me. I mean, a very simple figure for the most part. I mean, design-wise, just a, regular IRS-looking character. The tough part about this one is the battle of who he's going against. Before we get to the next figure, as you know, Money Inc., $1 Million Man, IRS, tag team champions, right there alongside Virgil, later on, I didn't realize it was Nikolai Volkov, who was part of the $1 Million Corporation. Like they talked about what was it called, the 1 cent or the nickel and dime character. I remember that guy so much, but I didn't realize it was a Nikolai Volkov. And the $1 Million Corporation, to me, it's like, how Bobby Heenan, puts together these giants like, Big John Studd and Andre and etc. So, Ric Flair, Mr. Perfect. Yeah, that's a nice little faction that they had going on there. Beautiful figure. Is he good enough to defeat? I can't remember if this is Matt Hardy or Jeff Hardy. Again, the Hardy brothers, they came in long after I stopped watching wrestling. I want to say Jeff Hardy. I could just say Hardy, but which one, I don't know. Any of you guys that have been watching wrestling, post 2000, you guys probably know who this is. Either way, Hardy brother, beautiful, beautiful figure. Absolutely love it. Clearly, they take a Brutus Beefcake figure. They alter the pose just enough to make it unique. They give it these 2 fingers up type of deal. Design wise, with the color of the arms and the way that it mimics in the face, this is an absolutely gorgeous piece. Now, I did watch a Royal Rumble recently, 2000, 2001, 2000, something like that. I've been buying a lot of these Royal Rumble tapes and watching them back to back, and they all kind of bleed in together. So I have a hard time remembering which battle was what. Oh, for Random Treasures, I get this. I got a more unique championship belt. This is kind of like a gold belt with silver plates. I mean, like I said, when I go to Random Treasures and I buy all these championship belts, maybe one day I'll do something like that. Talk about like why I do that. No, I won't do that. I recently saw a video where 80s Revolution was talking about his championship belts. And the reason I won't do that, I don't think, is because I like to be unique. And, a lot of the videos I make is because I haven't seen anyone else do it. And it was ideas I came up with. And because I've already seen him do that, I wouldn't want to mimic that. I kind of feel like I'm ripping him off. And, I don't want to take away from his own unique idea. But for the sake of comment, I do like to buy different colored belts or different, either get the silver or gold. What else was it? The rose gold, bronze, copper. So I like to get different parts here, different colors here, just to kind of make something, different. And obviously I choose different colors based on the figure. If you got like a Sid Vicious or a King Kong Bundy, all black type figures, yeah, I'm probably going to go with an all white belt for that purpose. But I got a few figures like Legion of Doom and Wild Samoans. I'm just kind of looking around here. I think Bad News Brown, Arn Anderson is one, Bad News Brown is another. Like I put like red belts on them. Just because it makes sense for Legion of Doom, but the other figures, I just kind of like wanted something different to kind of like blend in with the figures. Hardy, back to the competition. Sorry, I keep going off on these tangents every now and then. Love IRS. I don't see him moving past the Hardy brother, not for this battle. I don't know if he was eliminated first round last time. Maybe a second rounder at best. He won't make it past for round one this time. Jeff Hardy moves on to... And again, it could be Matt Hardy. I'll look it up and see who I bought it from and who he has listed. But Hardy brother moves forward. So I mentioned I had a ton of British Bulldog figures. You got the LJN original. You've got the Wrestling Writer British Bulldog. And now you've got the 1J Ruggs 79 British Bulldog. The first time I did the competition, yes, I took all of those British Bulldog figures and I put them together regardless of their fighting poses. And I'm trying to think, did I do that? Because I kind of remember both this British Bulldog and Wrestling Rider Bulldog moving forward. I could be wrong. You know what? I think I'm wrong. I think I may have just chosen this one over the other two. But like the Ultimate Warrior, because I had 3 different Warrior figures with 3 different poses, it gave Ultimate Warrior essentially 3 chances to win this competition. And same thing with the British Bulldog. 3 different Bulldog figures, Davey Boy Smith figures, I should say, that gave him, Davey Boy Smith, 3 different opportunities to win. And if you throw in Dynamite Kid, that gives you, basically 4 British Bulldog type options, but Davey Boy and Dynamite are 2 different people, so this is my British Bulldog. Dynamite Kid, again, I've gone back and watched a few of his matches. The man is awesome. I really need to go back and watch some more of his competitions because he is absolutely a unique talent. So, but I remember Davey Boy. This is my British Bulldog, and this is just a beautiful figure. And I think what I liked about this more than anything else, it all starts with the attached accessory, which is amazing. The way that they put these little curls or whatnot in his hair. And of course it ends with the design of, well, doesn't end, but it continues with the design of the pants, and it ends with the fighting pose. I thought this was a much better fighting pose than the other figures, obviously. And I think that's why I pushed him forward the first time I did this competition. In this battle, he does battle with yet another 1J Ruggs 79 figure, and it is Strikeforce Tito Santana. Again, I should have had this Tito Santana facing off against his Strikeforce original counterpart, but I completely forgot about this. So, again, it works out because with the amount of figures I have left, at least we're going to have an even number. So that helps, definitely. This Strikeforce is actually one of the better figures that I've got from John Ruggiero. At the end of the day, he still has that same hideous pose, which you can't really do anything with. I love the little Tito with the sombrero, or I think that's supposed to be a sombrero. And of course, the Strikeforce Lightning Bolt. Overall, this is a beautiful figure, and actually, because of the color and design of it, this could very well be a second rounder or even further. I may not like the pose, but it doesn't mean you can't give credit for an overall beautiful figure. And because the British Bulldog from John Ruggiero is more of a cartoon look, do you go with the cartoony looking figure, or do you go with something that's essentially a LJN original with the specialty paint job? Honestly, I had no idea I'd actually take this long to make my decision. When I put these two together, when I pulled them off the shelf, I honestly thought that this guy was going to be gone within seconds. But it's actually a much more difficult decision than I would have expected. No. I'm still going with the British Bulldog. Uh, does he win this competition? I think he will make it far. Will he win? There were a lot of great figures, so I don't want to make any promises now, but I think this one should do pretty well overall. The one J Ruggs 79 British Bulldog defeats his own Strikeforce Tito Santana. Alright, where are we at? We're at 27 minutes. So, the last battle for this video will feature another Hulk Hogan. Again, we saw the one from Wrestling Writer. And now we've got the one J Ruggs 79. Once again, with the specialty pipe cleaner. Pipe cleaner that they use kind of like as a scarf or whatnot. And overall, he did a better job with the shade of his beard. Much lighter color than the other one, which was pure black. And when you look at the bandana, pure black, and the gloves, this was a beautiful compliment to it. Overall design of the figure, again, design-wise, it's a fantastic figure. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just the pose that always gets me. But because it's a beautiful figure and overall aesthetics, this could be a multiple round figure. There's no doubt. In this battle, he goes against John's Kane figure. So, like Scott Steiner and who else would I put on this list? So Scott Steiner, his who's that? Bruce Beefcake and Kane. All three of those figures, they have basically the same type of hair. Very flat, straight, smooth, and I don't know how he does it like that, but it's pretty interesting. At first, I thought this was like a Hillbilly Jim figure based on the arm positioning, but I'm not sure because the body is way too small to be Hillbilly Jim. But with the exception of that, the overall color scheme is fantastic, and yeah, so that's an actual built-on mask. That's not like they colored the face or anything, so that's pretty spectacular. Same thing with Bruce Beefcake, the Mega Maniac. They have the built-on mask, and again, Kane, a dynamic figure because of his size. I don't like that this is relatively small in comparison to others. Like you look at the British Bulldog, they've made these figures so tiny. And I'm trying to find. Here's a Jimmy Garvin. Yeah. Oh, try to do it this way. And their feet are relatively back to back, and I think I actually have Kane sitting higher. I've got Kane sitting higher, and the Brutus Beefcake figure for Jimmy Garvin is still towering over him. Anyways, Kane was eliminated in the first round in my first tournament. I don't remember who he squared off against. Maybe it was the British Bulldog, because he's the closest one that I see here, and I probably would have squared the other guys off against each other. I will not do that to Kane again. I will push Kane forward to the second round, and will he move forward to a third round? I don't know. He was one and done the first time around, and this one was, with him going against this Hulk Hogan, it was very close to being a Hogan as winner. So does he get eliminated round 2? Again, just like any other figure, it's all about who he faces in the next round. You could potentially see him make it to round 5, while some of the best figures on my shelf get eliminated in rounds 2, 3, etc. And he keeps pushing forward. It's luck of the draw. It's who you're going to face. Could he end up towards the end? Absolutely. We'll see how that plays out. Kane defeats Hulk Hogan, moves on to round 2. So I'm going to end with this matchup, because in the next battle, I'm going to feature Vader and the Mountie. The Steiner brothers will square off against each other. I've got Doink taking on Shinjo. That's Hakushi. I got 1, 2, 3 Kid versus the third and final Hercules. And then Shinjo is going to square off against Mr. T. And that should be 5 matches. And that will complete round 1 of the tournament. So as I said before, it's not really going to take off until round 2. That's when you're really going to have tough decisions. But I'm really looking forward to round 3 and 4. Obviously, when you get some of your favorite figures to those rounds, and you see them basically eliminated, it's going to hurt a lot. But 3 and 4, you're really going to have the toughest decisions. I think by the time you get to round 5, you kind of have an idea, at least a better idea of where you're going with the tournament as far as who's left over. Alright, so that will end this video, and I will continue with one more video and probably call it a day. Today is Wednesday, October the 12th. Again, this video probably won't be posted until November, based on my 3-day turnaround time. Alright, everybody, thank you so much for watching, and let me know what you think in the comments. I'll talk to y'all soon. Goodbye for now.